Oh, now we're live. There we go. Hi. This is kind of an unexpected Sunday fun day, just gathering. It's not every day that you're hanging out doing some honeydew list chores things. I've hung a mirror, a toilet roll holder, and a shelf. What else? And assembled a whiteboard. Let's see, a mobile little whiteboard thing. So overall, pretty productive day. And then, folks, hi, by the way, welcome and thanks for joining me in this sort of impromptu gathering. I this is we'll get it together. Hold on. This is what happens when we just kind of like pile in together and just gather because this is whoo boy. Looking at what the Republicans were doing, planning leading up to Wednesday, and the kind of momentum they were trying to build. First, it's Josh Hawley, the alleged senator from Missouri. Well, the senator allegedly from Missouri, I think, is better a way of phrasing it. And then, of course, you've got Ted Cruz leading the Apple Dumpling Gang from hell, and a bunch of states, senators, like junior senators from states that, quite frankly, don't actually they don't have enough people in them to constitute a major city, much less a state, but they've managed to have two senators. So, of course, one of them is free to go run errands for the president, effectively. That's what happens when you have a state with that few people in it. That there's one senator that's got it kind of locked down. I got it covered. Not only am I not busy being senator of Wyoming or what have you, but I've got some, leftover time. So if you want to just go, I don't know, mess around with land rights or something, or sort of attack indigenous people or whatever, you go ahead and do that, because we don't need two senators here, honestly. We have fewer people in our state than Santa Monica, California. So I don't know quite what we're supposed to do with our time. So, of course, some of those senators can jump over into this pile. And, of course, the sentence led by Ted Cruz is in of itself a laugh line. I don't think we have any argument there. Let me open my chat so I can talk with you guys. But I got to say, this... as they're building this thing, as they were expecting this to be like their big win, right? The Republicans are like, Wednesday's going to kick ass. Cruz and Holly and a couple other people were going to this is their debutante ball for 2024, man. Hello, Belfast, Ireland. I love you. Hello, Iran. And I was not, I was expecting, personally, and I try to have very few expectations since we live in crazy town right now, that maybe Monday you'd see some of these people making noise. Thank you, Oliver. And then Tuesday they would increase in some noise, and then two more people would join them. Oh my God, there's 14 of them now. Whatever shall we do? And then Wednesday, 8 hours of nonsense and a lot of grandstanding while their colleagues shame them. Vote happens anyways. By Thursday, it's over, right? So that's pretty much, my dance card, And then Trump comes out and just absolutely shits the bed. How does this man they had a setup. They had a bunch of people who were covering his ass, and I'll be damned if this dude doesn't ruin it, right? This, honest to God. Oh, ciao, hello. You know what I mean? Like they were all set. They had it was it's a shit plan, but it's a plan. So how come? I'm sorry. All he had to do was shut up. Seriously, right? How is that's all he had to do? All you had to do. All you had to do was shut up. And this dude, yeah, you know how sometimes when we talk about people will go out and go, if Trump had just done this, he'd be fine. If he'd have just done this, he would have won the election. If he'd have there is no just done this. Trump can only Trump. That's all he can do. All he can ever do is wrestle with reality and end up getting pinned. This is how it works. Trump is the only person in American history, in maybe, history of the world in terms of other leaderships, but the only human being in American history who could literally ruin his life by becoming president. You know what I mean? Like, to skate by on some, you're kind of like base level criminality and manage to dodge all these legal bullets and bear traps along the way, and then to end up being dunked on by reality so badly that he gets to be president of the United States, and he is nothing but miserable the whole time. So those of you that are just joining us and may not know completely what's going on, the Washington Post put out a tape that they got, and this is the article. It's pretty great. There's a couple of things that now for the record, let's see. I think I'm in. Let me do this. I have to sign into Washington Post to see my own subscription. There's some fun stuff in this. I have not listened to the whole thing yet. Okay, I did not get ahead of myself. You and I are going to share this hour together, this hour and change, because obviously it's going to take me a while. Because if I get, oh man. But on top of that, by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe and support and subscribe and all this stuff. And you subscribe and follow and subscribe. There. See? I'm all business. All right. This is the article that I was like, oh, that's interesting. He calls Raffensperger. And now there's a bunch of stuff in there. Some of you may have heard the little pieces so far. The big one that's standing out, I just want to find 11,780 votes is pretty hysterical. Knowing Trump's luck and his skill in this arena, he will find 11,780 votes. They'll just all be for Biden and legit votes, and they will have been removed by some Trump-loving county executive who threw a bunch of them in the garbage to try and help Trump win. I mean, honestly. Okay, so we'll get into whether it's coercion, because we'll get into the criminality of it as we listen to the long form, because that's the part that's going to be fascinating to me. We're going to hear a lot of stuff that you and I on this show have watched Rudy Giuliani talk about, right? All that stupid shit. You guys complain so much when I have to deal with Rudy Giuliani and his videos that he puts out when he is the president's lawyer, and you watch, you'll be the few people in the world, probably, sadly, other than, outside the Trump sycophant hail-bop crowd that are about to, metaphorically, politically cut their balls off, leave their shoes by the door, and try to catch a comet out of town. You will hear him say shit you have heard Rudy Giuliani say that I've talked about on this show and played for you, and it will be, oh, thank you, Mary, bless you. Oh, she's subscribing $10 for the year. That's wonderful. Thank you. Bless you. So you'll recognize. I have no doubt. Yeah, that you will recognize some of Trump's quote unquote arguments. I mean, the obvious stuff like the people of Georgia are angry, the people of the country are angry. Yeah, but statistically at Trump, not for, hello, Coletta, Northern Ireland, and to everyone on my island. From the McGee clan to you, much love. While Mr. President, Raffensperger responded, well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong. Like that, okay. Yes, those are sweet. And I'm sure that we will hear those, those moments as we play through. And there's okay. That's the full call. We'll get to it. rambling and at times incoherent conversation. That's no surprise to anybody. Offered a remarkable glimpse of how consumed and desperate the president remains about his loss. Yes. Now, there's one part, we'll definitely cover that, but where he talks about where is it? They've been writing this whole thing out as it comes. This is way longer now. But this is, okay, here's the part that I like. And we'll see this. Do you think it's possible they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Because that's what the rumor is. Because that's how we work. Yeah, that's how elections are conducted in the United States, right? Right? Rose Clan, love you. And also, that Dominion took out machines. That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery. Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal. Germany, not the country, the lawyer for Raffensperger said, no, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County. Thank you, Katie. Bless you. Thanks for everybody who's joining us as patrons and as supporters and subscribers and all that kind of stuff. Bless you and hello. So Trump says, but this is so good. Oh my God, this is so dumb. I have to say, I was dying earlier when I heard this part of it. But have they moved the inner parts of the machines? And so he's still sticking to his Dominions moving their machines out. They took out the machines. They're moving really fast to get rid of their machinery. So the idea is that, and he goes, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of the Fulton County. He goes, but have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts? Germany. No. Trump, are you sure, Ryan? I'm sure, Mr. President. Like, the guy is on a ledge right now. This is so good. Have they moved the inner parts of the machines? I just like that listening. I mean, it's right up there with USB V cards and Rudy Giuliani talking about he only has access to half the hard drive that he's been sleeping with for a year. Oh my God. But have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts? Oh God. Okay, guys, if you want to get angry and upset about this, I completely understand. You have every right to be. That's not what we're going to do here today. Today, we're about celebrating the idiocy of this call coming out when it did. If Trump had simply kept his trap shut, he would have actually finagled his way through this and aided those other Republicans. But in a lot of ways, he has scuttled those Republicans who are defending him. He scuttled their chances. Oh, God, this is so good. All right, here we go. I think Mark Meadows opens the call. Is that, we'll hear it. Let's all hear it together.
Mr. President, everybody is on the line, and just so, this is Mark.
Oh, buddy, is everybody on the line.
Meadows, the Chief of Staff, just so we all are aware.
Oh, we're aware.
On the line is Secretary of State and two other individuals, Jordan and Mr. Germany.
Jordan and Mr. Germany. And don't let the name fool you. It's not the kind of Germany you're hoping for.
With him, you also have the attorneys that represent the President, Kurt and Alex, and Cleta Mitchell, who is not the attorney of record, but has been
No, she's not. She's just there to she's turn them up. Okay, I'll make it louder. Hold on. Okay. I'll turn them up and me down. That'll help. There you go. Hopefully that's not too terrible. Whoops. Get back up here. I have to go back over to here. There you
involved, myself, and then the President. So, Mr. President, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, Brett and Ryan and everybody. We appreciate the time and the call. So we've spent a lot of time on this, and if we could just go over some of the numbers, I think it's pretty clear that we won. We won very substantially, Georgia.
No, he didn't. But please, go over the numbers.
You even see it by rally size, frankly. Would be getting 25, 30,000 people a rally. And
Oh, okay, yeah, that qualifies. I mean, voters, but look at the size of my rallies. It's now, granted, it's the same assholes at every rally, but
the competition would get less than 100 people, and it never made sense. But we have
yeah, it does, because the competition's people stayed home, stayed healthy, and voted.
a number of things. We have at least two or three, anywhere from 250 to 300,000 ballots were dropped mysteriously into the rolls. Much of
They were just magically dropped.
that had to do with Fulton County, which hasn't been checked. We think that if you check the signatures, a real check of the signatures going back in Fulton County, you'll find at least a couple of 100,000 of forged signatures of people with who have been forged, and we are quite sure
People
that's
have
going
been.
to happen.
Wait a minute. That's not right.
Another tremendous
Hold. What do you mean? People have. This is worse than voter fraud. This is human fraud. These are clones.
number. We're going to have an accurate number over the next 2 days with certified accountants, but an accurate number will be given. But it's in the 50s of thousands, and that's people that went to vote and they were told they can't vote because they've already been voted for. And
Wait a
it's
minute.
a very sad thing. They walked out complaining, but
Okay. Who was voting for these people? Wait, they'd already been voted for on behalf of, I
they've already
suppose.
been voted for, and it's a very sad thing. They walked out complaining, but the number is large. We'll have it for you, but it's much more than the number of 11,779. That's the.
You mean all the people in Georgia who support you that you told to vote twice, who tried and were told to fuck off?
The current margin is only 11,779. Brad, I think you agree with that, right? That's something I think everyone, at least that's
No.
the number that everyone agrees on. But that's the difference in the vote.
Oh, everybody agrees by how much he lost by.
But we've had hundreds of thousands of ballots that we're able to actually will get you a pretty accurate number. You don't need much of a number because the number that, in theory, I lost by the margin would be 11,779. But you also have substantial numbers of people, thousands and thousands, who went to the voting place on November 3rd, were told they couldn't vote. Were told they couldn't vote because a ballot had been put in on their name.
They couldn't vote again. By the way, everybody, we talked about this. I'm not going to get too much into this. We'll listen to a lot of it. I'll try and stop less than I normally would. But we've dealt with this bullshit before. A bunch of Trump voters were told by Trump to, even if you mailed in your vote, you should go and vote in person because they might have gotten rid of your vote because he was in the middle of scuttling the mail service, right? So go vote in person because my guy might have thrown your vote out with the other Democrats one, so make sure. And so a bunch of these assholes did exactly that. They voted by mail, and then they voted in person, and then when they were caught trying to vote twice, they went, I didn't vote. And the person said, I can spoil that ballot, and you can vote right here, and it will get counted. And they went, nah, because they knew they were committing a crime.
And, that's very, 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 very sad. We had.
It is very, 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 very sad.
I believe it's about 4,502 voters who voted, but who weren't on the voter registration list. So it's 5,000.
What? Oh my God! Georgia doesn't have same-day voter registration, does it?
4,502 who voted, but they were not on the voter registration roll, which they had to be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's already moved on. Okay. Oh, it's already moved on to the fifth. How to vote in person on election day. How to vote by mail. Register to vote. There you go. Look at that. Look at all this information that's available when you go to the Georgia. Hold on, the Georgia site.
You had 18,325 vacant address voters. The address was vacant, and they're not allowed to be counted. That's 18,325. Smaller number, you had 904 who only voted where they had just a PO, a post office box number, and they had a post office.
Josh Hawley does not live at his sister's house in Missouri.
Office box number, and that's not allowed. We had at least 18,000, that's on tape. We had them counted very painstakingly. 18,000 voters having to do with Ruby Freeman. She's a vote scammer, a professional vote scammer and hustler. Ruby Freeman. That was the tape that's been shown all over the world that makes everybody look bad. You, me, and everybody else. Where they got number one, they said very clearly, and it's been reported that they said there was a major water main break. Everybody fled the.
Oh, I see. The black woman, right? We're talking about the blonde black woman. Yeah. Again, let's see if he gets the water main timeline right.
Area, and then they came back. Ruby Freeman, her daughter, and a few people. There were no Republican poll watchers. Actually, there were no Democrat poll watchers. I guess they were them, but there were no Democrats either, and there was no law enforcement. Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the votes.
The black robe, the black shield, put there by black people. I'm seeing a theme. Thank you, Sarah.
Those votes were put there a number of hours before. The table was put there. I think it was, Brad, you would know, it was probably 8 hours or 7 hours before, and then it was stuffed with votes. They weren't in an official voter box. They were
tabulation documents.
What looked to be...
We've heard this bullshit from Rudy, by the way.
Suitcases or trunks, suitcases, but they weren't...
No, they were exactly the boxes that they use.
In voter boxes. The minimum number it could be, because we watched it, and they watched it certified in slow motion, instant replay, if you can believe it, but they had slow motion.
They watched 14 hours of video in slow motion, instant replay, security video, which is not every frame. Okay. I can't believe it, actually, but please go on with this. Slow motion, instant replay. Like, they caught her dunking ballots right in, like, the layup, when she headbutted, amazing. Some of the best footage Sports Center's ever done.
Slow motion, instant replay, if you can believe it. But it had slow motion, and it was magnified many times over.
So, not only was it in slow motion, it was super blown up. So, obviously, the detail's extraordinary.
And the minimum it was 18,000 ballots, all for Biden.
No. All right, goddammit. Even I know his case better than he does. The machines supposedly process 18,000 votes when they're counting an hour. There was 2 hours at night. That was what you're referencing, and there was this belief that they went all night, which they didn't, but whatever. His original sales pitch, he's not even quoting his own goddamn case right.
You had out-of-state voters. They voted in Georgia, but they were from out of state.
You mean military people?
4,925.
Thank you, Sarah.
You had absentee ballot sent to vacant. They were absentee ballots sent to vacant addresses. They had nothing on them about addresses. That's 2,326.
Sent out? You mean because people lost their homes during the pandemic?
And you had drop boxes, which was very bad. You had drop boxes that were picked up. We have photographs, and we have affidavits from many people. I don't know if you saw the hearings, but you have drop boxes where the box...
I did. I saw the hearings. I saw all the hearings. It's Raffensperger. Call me if you have any questions. I saw them all. I watched all the hearings.
Box was picked up and not delivered for 3 days. So all sorts of things could have happened to that box, including...
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you mean like the ones that were set on fire by right-wingers?
Putting in the votes that you wanted. So there are many infractions, and the bottom line is many...
They were locked. The Republicans were trying to help you.
Many times the 11,779 margin that they said we lost by, we had vast... I mean, the state is in turmoil over...
Honestly, you can't get a peach cobbler anymore. The whole place is falling apart.
And I know you would like to get to the bottom of it, although I saw you on television today and you said that you found nothing wrong. I mean,
Uh-huh.
And I didn't lose the state, Fred. People have...
Yeah, you lost the state. You lost Georgia. You're a Republican who lost Georgia. You're a one-term impeached Republican who lost Georgia. Welcome to Unicorn Town.
Have been saying that it was the highest vote ever. There was no way. A lot of the political people said that there's no way they beat me, and they beat me. They beat me in the poll. As you know, every single state, we won every state. We won every state house in the country. We held the Senate, which is shocking to people, although we'll see what happens tomorrow or in a few days. And we won the House, but we won every single state house.
The we problem is your issue there. What happened is a lot of Republicans voted Republican, but they voted against you.
And we won Congress, which was supposed to lose 15 seats, and they gained, I think, 16 or 17 or something. I think there's now a difference of 5. There was supposed to be a difference substantially more. But politicians in every state, but politicians in Georgia have given affidavits and are going to that there was no way they beat me in the election.
Yeah, I'll sign an affidavit that says I believe there's no way you won Georgia. What is that? What's an affidavit that there was no way they could have beat me? Who even thinks that's legally binding in any way? Like, you can't even be found guilty of contempt of court or perjury in that situation just of being a dumbass.
That the people came out. In fact, they were expecting to lose, and they ended up winning by a lot because of the coattails. And they said there's no way that they've done many polls prior to
the coattails. So here's the coattails. He lost the state, but they won, but they owe it to his coattails.
The election, there was no way that they won. Ballots were dropped in massive numbers, and we're trying to get to those numbers, and we will have them. They'll take a period of time, certified. But they're massive numbers, and far greater than the 11,779. The other thing, dead people. So dead people voted, and I think the number is in the close to 5,000 people.
5,000 dead people. 5,000. What the hell? Have you not been talking to Rudy? 10,500 dead people. Where did those other... who killed the other half of the dead people? We've lost half the dead people in 48 hours. Am I wrong? 10,500. That is the number that Rudy Giuliani said in Georgia. 5,000. Chicken shit.
Obituaries. They went to all sorts of methods to come up with an accurate number.
So obituaries. They went and checked obituaries and tried to find anybody with a similar name. Any Tom Smith must have been a faker and must have voted for Biden automatically. And yeah, like, no. How about not?
And a minimum is close to about 5,000 voters. The bottom line is when you add it all up, and then you start adding, 300,000 fake ballots, then the other thing they said is in Fulton County and other areas, and this may or may not be true. This just came up this morning.
It's I'll save you some time. If he's saying it, it's not true.
that they are burning their ballots, that they are shredding ballots and removing equipment.
Wait, hold on. Billy Hutchings said something, and I want to bring up. What was that again, Billy Hutchings? About Jimmy Carter? What is true is in Georgia that when Jimmy Carter ran for state office, there were what? Hold on. I don't know why I can't. There was a rule that you could vote for a dead relative up to 3 years after. What? That's amazing. Well, there you go, Georgia. Right.
Changing the equipment on the Dominion machines, and then that's not legal. And they supposedly shredded, I think they said 3,000 pounds of ballots, and that just came to us as a report today. And
3,000 pounds of ballots. So that's like how many fish delights?
And it's a very sad situation, but.
Yeah, sure. Those poor shredded. What did he knock over? Hold on. Did you hear that? Wait 1 second.
And that just came to us as a report today. And, it's a very sad situation. But Brad, if you took the minimum numbers were many, many times above the 11,779, and many of those numbers are certified, or they will be certified, but they are certified. Those are numbers.
No, none of them are certified. They already certified their numbers.
That are there, that exist, and that beat the margin of loss. They beat it, by a lot. And people should be happy to have an accurate count instead of an election where there's.
They do. Yeah, they're very happy. They already have an accurate count. Thanks for checking in. Bye.
Turmoil. There's turmoil in Georgia and other places.
Is it turmoil? Is there turmoil? Or is he fomenting violence?
You're not the only one. We have other states that I believe will be flipping to us very shortly.
Totally.
And but this is something that's as an example, I think in Detroit, and I think there's a good section of your state actually, which we're not sure, so we're not going to report it yet. But in Detroit, we had 139% of the people voted. That's not.
Yeah, that didn't happen. That's a lie. We've dealt with this. And by the way, what do you mean 139%? Rudy's number's 151. At least get your crazy numbers right.
Too good. In Pennsylvania, they had well over 200,000 more votes than they had people voting, and that doesn't play too well. And the
certainly. Imagine if it were true.
legislature which is Republican, is extremely activist and angry. But there were other things also that were almost as bad as that. But
yeah, what could possibly be bad as that? Honestly.
They had, as an example, in Michigan, a tremendous number of dead people that voted. I think, Mark, it was 18,000. Some unbelievably high number, much higher than yours. You were.
The word "unbelievably" was the only believable part of that whole sentence.
In the 4,000 to 5,000 category, and that was checked out laboriously by going through. By going through the obituary columns in the newspaper.
Yeah, and comparing names to, interestingly, any names that sounded even remotely. Hold on, I don't know, my camera's out of focus today. Any that sounded remotely foreign and would overlap with anyone else. Right.
So, I guess with all of it being said, Brad, it's the bottom line. And provisional ballots, again, you'll have to tell me about the provisional ballots, but we have.
You don't know about provisional ballots? I thought you knew more about ISIS than the generals. How do you not know more about provisional ballots than the secretaries of state? Honestly. Thank you, David.
A lot of people that were complaining that they weren't able to vote because they were already voted for. And these are great.
Because they had already voted for by mail. Yeah, because you told them to vote twice. Play. Whoops. What happened?
Great people. And, they were shell shock. I don't know if you call that provisional ballots. In some states, we had a lot of provisional ballot situations where people were given a provisional ballot because when they walked in on November 3rd, they were already voted for.
Does he sound like he has a head cold?
So that's it. I mean, we have
Oh, he's just got coke nose.
many, many times the number of votes necessary to win the state, and we won the state. Now we won it very substantially and easily,
Nope.
and we're getting.
If you won it substantially and easily, why all this bullshit? Seriously.
Have much of this is very, they're certified. Far more is certified than we need, but we're getting additional numbers certified too, and we're getting pictures of drop boxes being delivered and delivered late, and delivered 3 days later in some cases. Plus, we have many affidavits to that effect.
So, Mr. President, if I might be able to jump in, and I'll give Brad a chance.
Thanks,
Mr. Secretary. Obviously,
thank you, Scooter.
There are allegations where we believe that not every vote or fair vote and legal vote was counted, and that's at odds with the representation.
Yes. Try to translate Trump's rambly bullshit to actual adults, Mark.
From the Secretary of State's office. What I'm hopeful for is there some way that we can find some kind of an agreement to look at this a little bit more fully. The president mentioned Fulton County, but in some of these areas where there seems to be a difference of where the facts seem to lead. And so, Mr. Secretary, I was hopeful that, in a spirit of cooperation and compromises, there.
Oh my God, Mark Meadows. Thank you so much, Jessica. Appreciate that. Welcome aboard. This is Mark Meadows being like, my son has some issues. So when we bring him into the Boy Scout room for the first time, I have to tell a little speech. Otherwise, he starts banging his head against the furniture. And so if you'll just excuse me, none of it has to actually be true or make sense. But if I don't do this, he'll attack one of the other boys with a knife. So if you'll just let me... Thanks, David. That's what this is.
There's something that we can at least have a discussion to look at some of these allegations to find a path forward that's less.
We have a path forward. They certify the votes as a perfunctory act that happens very normally on Wednesday. We have an inauguration. Trump leaves office. It's pretty. There's a path forward.
Litigious.
Well, I've listened to what the president has just said. President Trump, we've had several lawsuits, and we've had to respond in court to the lawsuits and the contentions. We don't agree that you have one. I didn't agree about the 200,000 number that you'd mentioned, and I could go through that point by point. What we had done is we gave our state senate about 1.5 hours of our time going through the election issue by issue. And then on the State House, the Government Affairs Committee, we gave them about 2.5 hours of our time, going back point by point on all the issues of contention. And then just a few days ago, we met with our U.S. congressman, Republican congressman, and we gave them about 2 hours of our time talking about this past election. Going back, primarily what you've talked about here, focused in on primarily, I believe, is the absentee ballot process. I don't believe that you're really questioning the Dominion machines, because we did a hand retally, a 100% retally of all the ballots, and compared that to what the machine said, and it came up with virtually the same result. Then we did the recount, and we got virtually the same result. So I guess we could probably take that off the table. I don't think there's an issue about that. I think what you were
Brad, not that there's not an issue, but because we have a big issue with Dominion and other states, and perhaps in yours, but we haven't felt we needed to go there. And just to, maybe put a little different spin on what Mark is saying, Mark Meadows. Yeah.
Let me just. Mark tried to make me sound sane. Let me dovetail back to my insanity.
We'd like to go further, but we don't really need to. We have all the votes we need. We won the state. If you took.
No, he didn't.
These are the most minimal numbers, the numbers that I gave you. Those are numbers that are certified, your absentee ballots sent to vacant addresses, your out-of-state voters, 4,925. When you add them up, it's many times the 11,779 number. So we could go through.
What's the premise that all of those votes, if they do exist, which they don't, but all of them go to Biden? What's the premise that they don't just match the rest of the state and split fairly evenly, slightly favoring Biden? Oh, right, they're mail-in votes. That must mean Democrats. Of course they need to be thrown out.
We have not gone through your Dominion, so we can't give them blessing. I mean, in other states, we think we found tremendous corruption with Dominion machines, but we'll have to see.
We think. I mean, it's only 2 days before the certification, and we have failed in every court.
But we only lost the state by 11 by that number, 11,000 votes, and 779.
Yeah, keep saying that. That number's going to be stuck in your head for a very long time, Trump. 11,779. We just need to go hashtag 11,779 to him all the time.
So, with that being said, with just what we have,
which is nothing.
And with just what we have, we're giving you minimal numbers. We're doing the most conservative numbers possible. We're many times above the margin. And so we don't really have to, Mark. Sure. I don't think we have to go through machines because what's the difference between winning the election by two votes and winning it by 500,000 votes? I think we probably did win it by 500,000. One of the things that happened, Brad, is we have other people coming in now from Alabama and from South Carolina and from other states, and they're saying it's impossible for you to have lost Georgia. We won. In Alabama, we set a record.
If people from Alabama, if anybody knows Georgia elections and what the Georgia voters want, it's random people from Alabama.
Got the highest vote ever. In Georgia, we set a record with a massive amount of votes. And they say it's not possible to have lost Georgia.
Oh, they just say it. Well, if they say it, I mean, they said it. Let me help you out. It's not possible that Donald Trump won Georgia. See? I'll swear to that in court. I mean, look at it. It's obvious. Isn't it obvious? Your Honor, it's not possible. See how easy? Does this take any more work? Does this take any work at all?
And I could tell you by our rallies. I could tell you by the rally I'm having on Monday night. The place, they already have lines of people standing out front waiting. It's just not possible to have lost Georgia. It's not possible. When I heard it was close, I said, there's no way. But they dropped a lot of votes in there late at night. You know that, Brett.
You mean the ones that were mailed in and they weren't counting them until after they counted the in-person votes, and so they started later than the other ones, and then they started adding them because they're legitimate votes?
And that's what we are working on very, very stringently. But regardless of those votes, with all of it being said, we lost by essentially 11,000 votes. And
11,779.
We have many more votes already calculated and certified.
In our heads. I've just thought up some votes in my head. Thank you, Cynthia. Bless you.
So I just don't know, Mark, I don't know what's the purpose. I won't.
Well, I don't even know why I'm talking to these people. We won the state. Can I just scream it at the walls and make it true?
Give Dominion a pass because we found too many bad things, but we don't need.
They found no bad things. And by the way, if they want to look at the Dominion systems by, bringing them before Congress and having them reviewed by, the intelligence community to make, and the whatever version of a commission that they want to form in the Congress or whatever, I'm all for it. As long as they look at the ES&S machines as well and do a comparative search on who owns them, where the tech comes from, how it's developed, why they were chosen. They review all the states where each machine was chosen and why. Because there's a real weird thing about the Dominion machines leaving behind a paper trail that the ES&S machines don't sometimes, that made them the choice in Texas. That is very curious.
Need Dominion or anything else. We have all.
But I would also say deal with this stuff going forward, because I'm not an insane person like this guy.
We have won this election in Georgia based on all of this, and there's nothing wrong with saying that, Brad. You know, I mean, having a correct.
There's nothing wrong with lying, Brad. There's nothing wrong with throwing your entire career out the window and becoming a complete. Hold on, wait 1 second. Quit it. Block. There you go. And then of course on here, and quit it. I don't know why this won't pause on here. I'll figure it out. Says it was inside intel in the process. Boink. Hold on 1 second. Clearing some trolls. Mm-hmm. And mainly spammers and the like. So there you go. There you go. There you go. By the way, guys, if you're on the Facebook thing and you see any of the people trying to sell stuff and do that kind of stuff, I don't have to be the only one to do that. Anybody can get rid of those folks by reporting their tweets. So thanks. You can any of the ones that just are like selling some sort of like miracle cure. Just send me your PIN number and I'll bless you and you'll get $1 million. Like, yeah, you don't need me to fix those things. I will try and catch them as much as possible.
The people of Georgia are angry, and these numbers are going to.
They always have been. I mean, when you think of Georgia, Jimmy Carter, Southern hospitality, soul food. I mean, it's an angry place. Atlanta, Angerlanta.
Night, along with others that we're going to have by that time, which are much more substantial even. Yeah,
well, but call us back when you have it.
And the people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, that you've recalculated because...
Well, yeah, legally there is, because he would be saying that based on a lie and committing a criminal act. He would be committing massive voter fraud and disenfranchising hundreds of thousands of voters in the state of Georgia, which of course would lead to his arrest and getting sentenced to 5 years for every count.
The 2,236 and absentee ballots, I mean, they're all exact numbers that were done by accounting firms, law firms, etc.
Accounting firms, law firms, firms. A lot of firmness.
Etc. And even if you cut them in half, and cut them in half again, it's more votes.
Even if we're lying, like what we did is we inflated our lie so big that we can pretend that if you cut it in half, we're fine. Now by the way, if you guys want a window into why Trump always exaggerates, why he always goes, I've heard it's 50, 60, 80% higher. The reason he always does that is because the minute it's sort of a gish gallop of numbers. If I start calling bullshit on his number, there's a part of people, the listener's brain, that goes, well, maybe it's partly true. So even if it's not genuine, if it's not 50% growth, maybe it's 15% growth. Never mind, the truth is that he went in the whole 10%, right? That's the issue. Seriously. What in the world? Hold on. Let's see. Spam. Hold on. Man, they're out in force today.
Than we need.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
I mean, that's the end of the call, really.
We talked to the congressmen, and they were surprised, but they I guess there was a person named Mr. Raynard that came to these meetings and presented data. And he said that there was dead people, I believe it was upward of 5,000. The actual number were two people that were dead that voted. And so that's wrong. That was two.
Well,
By the way, both of those people voted for Trump. Two dead people, two relatives of dead people voted on Trump's behalf with their dead relatives' ballot.
Cleta, how do you respond to that? I mean, you tell me.
What I will say, Mr. Secretary, one of the things that we have requested, and what we said was, and if you look at if you read our petition, it said that we took the names and birth years, and we had certain information available to us. We have asked from your office for records that only you have. And so we said there's a universe of people who have the same name and same birth year and died, but we don't have the records that you have. And one of the things that we have been suggesting formally and informally
In court and failing.
for weeks now is for you to make available to us the records that would be necessary to confirm.
But Cleta, even before you do that,
Trump, just let her do her shit. You've turned it over to her. He's going to screw the pooch right now. Like, she was making some headway. There was going to have to be a legal response. They were going to say something. It might have even made Trump have wiggle room in his conversation. And here he is. He's just got to stomp all over the goddamn place.
Cleta, even before you do that, and not even including that, that's why I hardly even included that number, although in one state we have a tremendous amount of dead people, so I don't know. I'm sure we do in Georgia, too. I'm sure we do in Georgia, too. But is that we're so far ahead. We're so far ahead of these numbers. Even the phony ballots of known scammer. Whoa. You know the internet? You know what was trending on the internet? Where's because they thought you'd be in jail. Where's it's
Oh, did they bleep something out? Is that what that was? Criminy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. That was...
Yes, you're a crazy person. Right. We know this. But the what?
It's crazy. It's crazy. That was... The minimum number is 18,000, but they think it's probably about 56,000. But the minimum number is 18,000 on the night where she ran back in there when everybody was gone and stuffed... She stuffed the ballot boxes. Let's face it, Brad. I mean, they did it in slow motion replay magnified, right? She stuffed
By the way, I don't know where the slow motion replay magnified part is. I've seen the video.
The ballot boxes. They were stuffed like nobody's ever seen them stuffed before. So
that's right. They were stuffed like nothing's ever been stuffed in the history of stuffing. No one... Who talks like this?
There's a term for it when it's a machine instead of a ballot box. But she stuffed...
What's the term?
The machine. She stuffed the ballot. Each ballot went 3 times. They were showing, here's ballot number 1. Here it is a second time, third time. Next ballot.
Oh, they're bleeping the woman's name so that she doesn't end up with death threats? Right. Gotcha.
I mean, look, Brett, this is... We have a new tape that we're going to release. It's devastating.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm excited. Rudy, when are you releasing the tape? Come on. Let's do that tonight.
By the way, that one event is much more than the 11,000 votes that we're talking about. It's, that one event was a disaster. It just, but it was something that it can't be.
Find where you were on the page and start over. They wrote out a list of all the things you're supposed to hit, all the phony numbers they gave you, all the stuff, the accusations they made in court, but they couldn't get into court because they were thrown out because of cross-examination and the people that you had affidavits of refusing to be cross-examined in court because they knew they would end up being, getting a perjury charge or being found in contempt of court. So you're just entering them into the public record this way. By the way, it is entirely possible that Trump leaked this phone call himself. The idea is this is a way of getting this information in there.
Be disputed. And again, we have a version that you haven't seen, but it's
Yeah, why would you share it with him?
It's magnified. It's magnified, and you can see everything. And she put, for some reason, they put it in 3 times each ballot, and I don't know why, but why? I don't know why 3 times. Why not 5 times, right?
Sure, yeah, why not 10 times? Why not 20 times? So if she did it 20 times, it must have happened once, right? See how this works?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're talking about the State Farm video, and I think it's extremely unfortunate that Rudy Giuliani or his people, they sliced and diced that video and took it out of context. So the next day we brought in WSBTV and we let them see the full run of tape. And what you'll see, the events that transpired are nowhere near what was projected by,
But where were the poll watchers, Brad? There were no poll watchers there. There were no Democrats or Republicans. There was no security there. It was late in the evening, or early in the morning, and there was nobody else in the room. Where were the poll watchers? And why did they say a water main broke, which they did, and which is reported in the newspapers? They said they ran out because of a water main break, and there was...
Oh my God, the water main break happened in the morning. The video that you're talking about happened at night. For God's sake, man.
No water main. There was nothing. There was no break. There was no water main break. But if you take out everything, where were the Republican poll watchers? Even where were the Democrat poll watchers? Because there were none. And then you say, well, they left their station. If you look at the tape, and this was reviewed by professional police and detectives and other people.
There's accounting firms and lawyer firms and professional police and other people have looked at all this stuff, guys.
When they left in a rush, everybody left in a rush because of the water main, but everybody left in a rush. These people left their station. When they came back, they didn't go to their station. They went to the apron wrapped around the table under which were thousands and thousands of ballots in a box that was not an official or a sealed box. And then they took those and they went back to a different station. So
I'm holding off answering all these things because I have a feeling that Raffensperger will address it, and he is the Secretary of State for Georgia. So I'm waiting for the moment that in this hour-long call, he at least is given just a moment, where he can explain this stuff to him. If he doesn't, I'm happy.
If they would have come back, they would have walked to their station and they would have continued to work. But they couldn't do even that because that's illegal because they had no Republican poll watchers. And remember, her reputation is devastating. She's known all over the internet, Brett. She's known all over. I'm telling you, where was one of the hot items on the. They knew her. Where's. So, Brad, this.
Yeah. Because the right wing is attacking her because Rudy Giuliani put this video out. That means she did something wrong because Rudy Giuliani and Trump are accusing her of something wrong, and they have set their supporters loose on her to try and attack her life and threaten her life. That automatically means she's guilty. Okay, well that's good. Now do sexual assault charges.
There can be no justification for that, and I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But that was and Brad, why did they put the votes in 3 times? They put them in 3 times.
Mr. President, they did not put that. We did an audit of that, and we proved conclusively that they were not scanned 3 times.
Well, where was everybody else at that late time in the morning?
Wait, no. He just addressed what you asked on one point. We just went back, grabbed that or whatever. You don't get to move on with this bullshit. This is part of the issue with this kind of stuff, is he's going to go, well, what about the people that were watching and that kind of stuff? No. You said they were scanning things multiple times. The Republican Secretary of State said to you, they didn't. We've reviewed it. We're looking at it. The numbers match up. They would be 3 times higher than the people in the poll books if anybody scanned a stack of ballots, even 150 ballot stack 3 times. If you did that, the numbers would be extraordinarily off. It would be obvious when they tabulated at the end of the night.
morning.
But he's just going to move
on. Where was everybody? Where were the Republicans?
Where did they go? Where did they go during the part where they don't have to be there for?
Where were the security guards?
Where were the security guards and the Republican poll watchers during vacuuming?
Where were the people that were there just a little while before when everyone ran out of the room? How come we had no security in the room? Why did they run to the bottom of the table? Why did they run there and just open the skirt and rip out the votes? I mean, Brad, and they were sitting there, I think for 5 hours or something like that, the votes. But they just all happened to run back and go, Brad. Come on.
Yeah, Mr. President, we'll send you the link from WSB that does.
I don't care about a link. I don't need it.
I don't need to watch anything. I don't need proof. I believe what I believe, and it doesn't go anywhere.
Brad, I have a much better link.
I will tell you, I've seen the tape, the full tape. So has Alex.
I've seen the tape, the full tape. And I'm here to tell you, they're full of shit. Trump and his entire crowd are endangering people's lives with fantastical conspiracy theories about bullshit, perfunctory actions by normal vote counting activities, tabulating in this case, in a situation where it is endangering their lives, where nutcases are wanting to kill these folks for just doing regular order of business.
We've watched it, and what we saw and what we've confirmed in the timing is that they made everybody leave. We have sworn affidavits saying that.
No, they didn't. They were done counting. You're there for the counting part, not the tabulating part. The counting is the only part that needs viewing. The tabulation part is a secondary document of which there are multiple copies of, so that if it doesn't match up later during a recount, the people who are doing that would lose their job, lose their pay, go to jail, all kinds of crazy stuff. They've taken an oath. They're fine. All right.
And then they continued. Then they began to process ballots. And our estimate is
they weren't ballots.
That there were roughly 18,000 ballots. We don't know that. If you know that,
it was 18,000 ballots, but they used each one through.
Okay. All right. Listen to Trump. You guys have watched this shit with me. Listen to what Trump is saying. Is it anywhere close to both what Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis and these and their witnesses in front of the Georgia legislature have said? Trump is going to take two separate accusations and conflate them into one. They're already doing the thing where the flooding happened at night, even though it happened in the morning, and then it was over and it never affected anything, and no one was run out.
We don't know that. If you know that.
It was 18,000 ballots, but they used each one 3 times.
Well, so I don't know about that, but I know.
Well, I do because we had ours magnified out. So
he said it magnified out.
Each one magnified out.
I've watched the entire thing.
But
look, now he's arguing. Now he's arguing with the help. Thanks, Grim.
But nobody can make a case for that, Brett. Nobody. I mean, look, you'd have.
I've done it multiple times, and quite aptly, I might say.
To be a child to think anything other than that. Just a child. I mean, you never Trump or U.S. attorney there.
How many ballots, Mr. Secretary, are you saying that were processed in?
We had GPI thoroughly investigate that.
This is Ryan Germany, we had our law enforcement officers talk to everyone who was there after that event came to light. The GBI was with them as well as FBI agents.
Well, there's no way they could. Then they're incompetent.
Yeah, but that's what it is, guys. They're incompetent. Trump, look, he glanced at some shots and was told what those slices of video mean by his own people. They magnify it and said, look, isn't that proof? And he went, it must be proof. They're telling me it is, and they're charging me $20,000 a day apiece. And those folks are like, if we keep telling him this, he'll keep paying us $20,000 a day. But Occam's rubber mallet strikes again. What it must be is that the FBI and the law enforcement in Georgia and the Republican Secretary of State's office and the election board there, they're all incompetent. It isn't that Trump has shit in his eyes.
They're either dishonest or incompetent, okay? There's only 2 answers, dishonesty or incompetence. There's just no way. Look.
Well, yeah, that's the way you govern. We know.
There's no way. And on the other thing I said, too, there's no way. I mean, there's no way that these things could have been, you have all these different people that that voted, but they don't live in Georgia anymore. What was that number?
You mean like military voters?
That was a pretty good number, too. Yeah.
Well, the number who had registered out of state after they moved from Georgia. And so they had a date when they moved from Georgia. They registered to vote out of state, and then it's like 4,500. I don't have that right in front of me.
And then they came back in and they voted.
And voted. Yeah.
No, that was a large number, though. It was in the 20s. And,
Yeah, it wasn't just the 4,500. She just said, it's like 20,000. You know why? Because I have to make up 20,000 so that when you think about it, you're like, well, 4,500 is possible. He said 20,000. She says 4,500. It's probably somewhere in the middle. It's nowhere near even the truth. These are military people who went away, were serving they were stationed by the military elsewhere, live in Georgia, their families in Georgia, their main base is in Georgia. They returned there to vote, or they voted by mail to there.
You know, the point
We've
is
been going through each of those as well, and those numbers that we got, that Ms. Mitchell was just saying, they're not accurate. Everyone we've been...
I mean, at this point, it's a tennis match between reality and
through are people that lived in Georgia, moved to a different state, but then moved back to Georgia legitimately. And in many cases...
Really? How many people do that? You mean they moved out of...
Yeah, who does that? Who moves out of state and like for a couple of years and then moves back? Who does that in their life? Who moves back home? Trump has lived in New York his whole life. He's moving to Florida. He's never going to move back to New York. I mean, he doesn't live in Florida. He's registered to vote in Florida, but he doesn't actually have a residency there. And his residency is in Washington, D.C., and he doesn't count his residency in New York anymore. But that's neither here nor there.
And then they said, the hell with it, I'll move back in. You know, it doesn't sound like a very normal...
It doesn't sound like people move back. 4,000 people in a state of what? How many people? Wait, what's the population of Georgia, guys? Can we just grab that real quick? Quit. Let me find this real quick. Population of Georgia. The population of Georgia is 10 million people. So out of 10, there you go. There you go. Out of 10 million people, 10.62 million people, 4,000 of them within 2 years or within 4 years, 4,000 of them move out and come back. Impossible. Who does this? How is this even possible? Yeah, 10.62 million. 4,000 people over the course of 4 years move out and move back. It's unbelievable. How can you even buy this? Wait 1 second. There we go. Doink. There it is. Let me look at it in case you doubt my numbers. So out of these folks, 4,000 people, adults, 4,000 adults out of 10 million people moved out and moved back within 4 years. Yeah, sounds like students, sounds like military people who were stationed elsewhere and came back. Sounds like people who moved out of state to start a business or do something or get in a relationship and it failed and they moved back home. You know, life. Who does that, he says. Like, basically, this is, by the way, if you live in Georgia, this is what Donald Trump thinks of Georgia.
You mean they
legitimately, and in many cases...
Really, how many people do that? You mean they moved out and then they said, the hell with it, I'll move back in. You know, it doesn't sound like...
Yeah, I mean, nobody moves back to Georgia. It's a friggin' dump, according to Donald Trump. Why would you do that? Why would you ever, move back? Once you've gotten out of Georgia, you're free, man. Make a bum rush for the big city. Come on.
A very normal...
Yeah, 0.00377%. Thank you, Bob.
You mean they moved out, and what, they missed it so much that they wanted to move back in? It's...
Seriously, I was joking. I didn't expect him to go that far with it. Listen to this. Thank you, Patty. Look at this shit. What kind of Georgia?
It doesn't sound like a very normal... You mean they moved out, and what, they missed it so much that they wanted to move back in? It's crazy.
Well, and then they moved...
That's crazy. Who the fuck moves out of Georgia and ever looks back? What a dump. Honestly, how do you take that any other way? Where is it? Where? Oh my God. I was not expecting him to go that far with it, but then I should, I suppose.
Moved back in years ago. This was not like something just before the election. So there's something about that data that it's just not accurate.
Well, I don't know. All I know is that it is certified, and they moved out of.
It's certified information. We had it certified by our own certification expert. We had a mass certifier that came in and did much certification for us.
Georgia, and they voted. It didn't say they moved back in, Cleta, did it?
No, but
Yes, it does.
we're looking at the voter registry. Again, if you have additional records, we've been asking for that. But you haven't shared any of that with us. You just keep saying you've
But Cleta, a lot of it you don't need to be shared. I mean, to be honest, they should share it. They should share it because you want to get to an honest election. I won this election by hundreds of thousands of votes. There's no way I lost Georgia. There's no way. We won by hundreds
If he keeps doing this and then ends up losing, I'm not going to believe in the secret anymore.
of thousands of votes. I'm just going by small numbers. When you add them up, they're many times the 11,000. But I won that state by hundreds of thousands of votes. Now, do you think it's possible that they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Because that's what the rumor is. And
Oh, rumors. Well, I mean, honestly, it's if you're going to deal with, I didn't realize we were going so deep as rumors. That's certainly adult. Are they certified rumors? Are you certifiable, sir?
also that Dominion took out machines.
Oh, this is my favorite part. Oh, this is good. This is.
That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery. Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal.
This is Ryan, Germany. No, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County. We're having.
But have they moved? Have they?
They have an election coming up. We kind of need our voting machines.
Have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
Have they listen to that again, please? Understand how stupid this is.
Moved
machinery out of Fulton County. We're having.
but have they moved? Have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
We can rebuild him. You know, kind of like an evil version of the $6 Million Man. And he gave me a piece filled with shoddy machine gun parts.
No.
You sure, Ryan?
I'm sure, Mr. President.
And what about the?
Well, that's that. Okay, and he's just moving on. He's just moving on.
What about the ballots? The shredding of the ballots. Have they been shredding ballots?
No. The only investigation that we have into that, they have not been shredding any ballots. There was an issue in Cobb County where they were doing normal, office shredding, getting rid of old stuff, and we investigated that. But this is stuff from, past elections.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know about that. They were shredding. What were they doing? Oh, yeah. They were just shredding stuff because they were shredding. Will he be prosecuted? No, he won't be prosecuted for this stuff.
It doesn't pass the smell test, though, because we hear they're shredding thousands and thousands of ballots.
Oh, yeah. Well, if anything passes the smell test, it's what Trump is hearing. Because he's really got his ear to the ground. You know what I mean?
And now what they're saying, we're just cleaning up the office. I don't think that plays.
Next thing you're going to tell me that people move out of Georgia and move back into that dump.
Mr. President, the problem you have with social media, people can say anything.
No, this isn't social media. This is Trump media.
People can say anything.
No, this isn't social media. This is Trump media.
No, this isn't social media. This is Trump media. Okay, drunk. Okay, just drunk at this point. We're just going with drunk. Are we going with drunk now? Trump. We're not talking about social media. We're talking about Trump media.
They can,
Listen to
people
that.
can say anything.
No, this isn't social media. This is Trump media. It's not social media. It's really not. It's not social media. I don't care about social, but I couldn't care.
Honest to God, he does sound drunk right now. No, and listen, the swearing that he doesn't drink thing. I know that's been around. As somebody who doesn't drink and who has never had an alcoholic beverage and will never have an alcoholic beverage, I'm telling you right now, there is a huge difference. And I know people. Thank you so much, Sean. Appreciate that for becoming a Patreon supporter. I will tell you, I notice the language in people that I've known for a long time that didn't drink or wouldn't drink that have changed how they articulate the way they talk about it. And he has not done the I don't drink statement in almost 2 years. So once he said it out of habit, and it didn't even sound like he believed it. He was just rolling it out. Yes. Now, there is another possibility that he is having ongoing strokes on top of whatever speed he's using, which will give him a wavery mental state as well, that beyond what he already has.
The social media is big tech. Big tech is on your side. I don't even know why you have a side, because you should want to have an accurate election.
They do have an accurate election. What side? He's on your side. He's a Republican.
Because you should want to have an accurate election, and you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have. Not even close. You're off by hundreds of thousands of votes, and just on the small numbers, you're off on these numbers, and these numbers can't be judged. Well, why won't? Okay, so you send us into Cobb County for signature verification, right? You send us into Cobb County, which we didn't want to go into. And you said it would be open to the public, and we could have so we had our experts there. They weren't allowed into the room. But we didn't want Cobb County. We wanted Fulton County, and you wouldn't give it to us. Now, why aren't we doing signature, and why can't it be open to the public, and why can't we have professionals do it instead of rank amateurs that will never find anything and don't want to find anything? They don't want to find, they don't want to find anything. Someday you'll tell me.
Seriously, how is this asshole not just drunk? Drunk. He sounds like just this post-Trump election MAGA blowhard at a bar, just rambling.
Tell me the reason why, because I don't understand your reasoning. But someday you'll tell me the reason why. But why don't you want to find?
We chose Cobb County.
Why don't you want to find? What?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so why did you do Cobb County? We didn't even we requested Fulton County, not Cobb County.
Well, Mr. President, we did have our election contest.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
We chose Cobb County because that was the only county where there's been any evidence submitted that the signature verification was not properly done.
Well, no, but I told you, but we're not saying that. We are
we did say that.
We're the agreement.
Yeah, we did say that. Listen to his own attorney right then. Listen to this. Listen, real quick.
I told you, but we're not saying that. We are we're the aggrieved party.
Dan did say that. We did say that. Did you hear her say that? That's his attorney. Listen.
The signature verification was not properly done.
Well, no, but I told you, but we're not saying that. We are the aggrieved. We're the aggrieved party. Fulton County. Look, Stacy. In my opinion, Stacy is as dishonest as they come. She has outplayed you at every heart, at everything. She got you to sign a totally unconstitutional agreement, which is a disastrous agreement. You can't check signatures. You can't do. I can't imagine. You're allowed to do harvesting, I guess, in that agreement. That agreement is a disaster for this country. But she got you somehow to sign that thing, and she's outsmarted you at every step. And I hate to imagine what's going to happen on Monday or Tuesday, but it's
or Wednesday or
very
Tuesday.
Scary to people, where the ballots flow in out of nowhere. It's very scary to people. That consent decree is a disaster. It's a disaster. A very good lawyer who examined it said they've never seen anything like it.
Why does anybody know why he doesn't name any of these folks? Does anybody? Seriously, does anybody actually he hasn't. The very good law firms, very good elector, like professional police, whatever the shit that is, have looked at it. Name one. Again, this goes back to this stupid. I mean, we're now down to half. We're down to a third of the dead people voting that Rudy said 2 days ago happened, right?
And
The harvesting is
Name one.
still illegal in the state of Georgia, and that settlement agreement did not change that.
well, it's not a settlement agreement. It's a consent decree. It even says consent decree on it, doesn't it? It uses the term consent decree. It doesn't say settlement agreement. It's a consent decree. It's a disaster.
It's a settlement agreement.
What's written on top of it?
Ryan?
I don't have it in front of me, but it was not entered by the court. It's not a court order.
No, it's called. But Ryan, it's called a consent decree. Is that right on the paper? Is that right?
I don't believe so. But I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. Whatever. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. Look, here's the problem. We can go through signature verification, and we'll find hundreds of thousands of signatures if you let us do it. And the only way you can do it, as you know, is to go to the past. But you didn't do that in Cobb County. You just looked at one page compared to another. The only way you can do a signature verification is go.
Look, I don't want to do this, but you know, like we're getting through this fairly fast. But hold on one second. Can I show you something? Consent decree, Georgia. Whoops. Now get over here. Make sure it goes over here. Hold on one second. I gotta wait for my consent decree, Georgia text. Judge Batten signs mutual consent order. So not a consent decree, an order. This morning, U.S. District Judge Timothy Batten signed a voluntary. Oh, look at that. Consent order negotiated by Jim Kwan, Asian Americans. Okay, wait. Is that he's going to in a federal voter assistance case? Future elections, primaries, runoffs. Secretary Clinton has issued the direction. Yeah. There it is. Okay, so here it is. This is I think the text of it. So not a decree, an order, but that's what he's arguing about. It's a civil action from Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta to Crittenden as the Secretary of State. This is the older one. Is this the same one we're talking about? No, this is the 2018 one. Hold on one second. This is the one that was already on the books that protected the rights that are, that the other one was off of. There it is. Boink. Compromise settlement agreement. There you go. Here it is. That isn't... Okay, the other one was called a consent order. This one, ta-da, is called a compromise settlement agreement and release. The compromise settlement agreement and release, agreement, is made and entered into by the Democratic Party of Georgia and DSCC and the DCCC and Raffensperger, Rebecca Sullivan, Worley. Whereas in the lawsuit styled Democratic Party of Georgia et al. Versus Raffensperger et al. Civil action. They compromised on what they could do. This is exactly what he's talking about, okay? It does not say consent decree. It says exactly what the lawyers were saying it says. Compromise settlement agreement and release. Whereas, wherein, now, therefore. For and in consideration of the promises and covenants contained herein and other good and valuable consideration, I do false vow. Within 5 days of March 22nd, 2020, the effective date of the prompt notification absentee ballot rejection rule specified by a prompt notification objection rule. That's the change in that one. Signature match. In his official, here you go, Secretary of State Raffensperger, this is fun, in his official capacity as Secretary of State, agrees to issue an official election bulletin containing the following procedure applicable to the review of signatures on absentee ballot envelopes by county elections officials, and to incorporate the procedure below in training materials regarding the review of absentee ballot signatures for county registrars. So this is the shift. This is the thing this is the main attack point, okay? Let's go, let's be abundantly clear about this. This is the part they have a hard time with. And by the way, 7 o'clock tonight, Flappers show, comedy, not political, just laughs, flapperscomedy.com, which means I have to get out of here before, at least by 6 o'clock, so I don't wreck my voice for my show. County registrars and absentee ballot clerks are required, upon receipt of each mail-in absentee ballot, to compare the signature or mark of the elector on the mail-in absentee ballot with the signatures or marks in ENET and other application for the mail-in absentee ballot. If the signature does not appear to be valid, registrars and clerks are required to follow the procedure set forth in OCGA 21-236A, Section 1, Clause Section C, when reviewing an elector's signature on the mail-in absentee ballot envelope, the registrar and clerk must compare the signature on the mail-in absentee ballot with each signature contained in the elector's voter registration record in ENET and the elector's... Like this is about signature verification. It's 3 steps deep. Seriously. Did we talk about the phone call Trump made? We are doing it. We're doing it live.
From the one that signed it on November, whatever, recently, and compare it to 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, or even one, and you'll find that you have many different signatures. But in Fulton, where they dumped ballots, you will find that you have many that aren't even signed.
May I just real quick?
Here's a good one. You can do it, as you know, is to go to the past. But you didn't do that in Cobb County. You just looked at one page compared to another. The only way you can do a signature verification is go from the...
Oh, wait, hold on. We'll back up because I don't want to lose that part.
It's a disaster. Look, here's the problem. We can go through signature verification and we'll find hundreds of thousands of signatures if you let us do it. And the only way you can...
Yeah, we'll just come in there with a truck and trust us.
Do it, as you know, is to go to the past. But you didn't do that in Cobb County. You just looked at one page compared to another. The only way you can do a signature verification is go from the one that signed it on November, whatever, recently, and compare it to 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, or even one. And you'll find that you have many different signatures. But in Fulton...
because you just will. Guys, you just will. If you compare it, you're just going to find a bunch of different signatures. It just happens.
Where they dumped ballots, you will find that you have many that aren't even signed. And you have...
Yeah, probably. Don't even have signatures on them. You mean the ballots that were in privacy envelopes that were in envelopes that were signed? That the ballots aren't signed? Yeah, we know. That's what a privacy envelope is for.
Many that are forgeries. Okay? You know that. You know that. You have...
Again, this assertion part on his is really the crux of his argument. You know it's true. You know it. Mm-hmm. He is the male Melissa Corone.
No doubt about that. And you will be at 11,779 within minutes. Because Fulton County is totally corrupt, and so is she totally corrupt. And they're going around playing you and laughing at you behind your back, Brad, whether you know it or not. They're laughing.
Yeah, and by the way, this is Trump telling you what he's scared of, which is why, while people will say that Trump has no shame, which is true, he is easily embarrassed. And that is the only weapon you have against him. You must embarrass him. You can't shame him. You can't go hypocrite. He doesn't care about the word hypocrite. But Diaper Don drives him crazy and makes him want the Constitution changed. See what I'm saying?
Laughing at you. And you've taken a state that's a Republican state, and you've made it almost impossible for a Republican to win because of cheating. Because they cheated like nobody's ever cheated before.
Like nobody's ever cheated before. Like ballots have never been stuffed like things are stuffing before.
And I don't care how long it takes me.
Is he letting the dog out? What is he on the phone?
We're going to have other states coming forward pretty good. But I won't. This is never given. We have some incredible talent. Said they've never seen anything. Now, the problem is they need more time for the big numbers, but they are very substantial numbers. And I think you're going to find that they, by the way, a little information, I think you're going to find that they are shredding ballots because they have to get...
And I'm just saying. I've got some inside knowledge.
Rid of the ballots because the ballots are unsigned. The ballots are corrupt, and they're brand new, and they don't have seals. And there's a whole thing with the ballots, but the ballots are corrupt, and you're going to find that they are, which is totally illegal. It's more illegal for you.
What's the word?
Illegal. Yeah, look.
They're what?
Illegal. Yeah, look.
Okay. They're illegal, right?
Free health care for illegal. Yeah, look.
That it is for them because you know what they did and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense.
And now he's going to accuse the Secretary of State of being a criminal. This is fun, actually. This is enjoyable.
And you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a big risk. But they are shredding ballots, in my opinion, based on what I've.
And by the way, what kind of a sentence? They are shredding ballots, in my opinion. How is that even? Who? Seriously. Yes, he's always this insane.
I've heard.
Amy.
And they are removing machinery.
No star on screen? There isn't? On which part? What do you mean? I don't know.
And they're moving it as fast as they can, both of which are criminal fines, and you can't let it happen, and you are letting it happen. I'm notifying you that you're letting it happen. So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state, and flipping the state.
Oh, no stars are available on Facebook? I think they are, aren't they? Did I lose my thing because of the video that was played before or something? Do I have to restart them? What's happening?
Is a great testament to our country because, there's just it's a testament that they can admit to a mistake or whatever you want to call it. If it was a mistake, I don't know. A lot of people think it wasn't a mistake. It was much more criminal than that. But it's a big problem in Georgia, and it's not a problem that's going away. I mean, it's not a problem that's going away. And we got
President, this is Ryan. We're looking into every one of those things that you mentioned.
Okay,
and our investigators.
But if you find them, you got to say it, Ryan. Look, let me ask you, Ryan, if they're destroying ballots.
Let me tell you what we are seeing.
Go ahead. Good.
What we're seeing is not at all what you're describing.
Okay.
And these are investigators from our office. These are investigators from GBI, and they're looking and they're good. And that's not what they're seeing. And we'll keep looking. We'll keep looking at all these things.
Well, you better check on the ballots because they are shredding ballots, Ryan. I'm just telling you, Ryan. They're shredding ballots, and you should look at that very carefully because that's so illegal. You may not even believe it because it's so bad, but they're shredding ballots because they think we're going to eventually get there because we'll eventually get into Fulton. It's in my opinion, it's never too late. So, little double sound deck. So
he's got an echo. Hold on. Whoops. Where is this? Back here. 2. Wait, 1. Is that right? Sorry.
You may not even believe it because it's so bad, but they're shredding ballots because they think we're going to eventually get there because we'll eventually get into Fulton. It's in my opinion, it's never too late. So, little double sound deck. So that's the story, fellas. Look, we need only 11,000 votes. We have far more than that as it stands now. We'll have more and more. And do you have provisional ballots at all, Brad? Provisional ballots?
Provisional ballots are allowed, by state law.
Sure.
Yeah, everybody has provisional ballots.
But do you have them? I mean, are they counted, or did you just hold them back because they, in other words, how many provisional ballots do you have in the state?
We'll get you that number.
Because most of them are made out to the name Trump, because these are people that were scammed when they came in, and we have
And they tried to vote twice?
thousands of people that have testified or that want to testify. When they came in, they were proudly going to vote on November 3rd, and they were told, I'm sorry, you've already been voted for, you've already voted. The women, men started screaming, no, I proudly voted till November 3rd. They said, I'm sorry, but you already been voted for, and you have a ballot. And these people are beside themselves. So they went out and they filled in a provisional ballot, putting the name Trump on it. And what about that batch of military ballots that came in, and even though I won the military by a lot, it was 100% Trump. 100% Biden. Do you know about that?
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Large group of ballots came in. I think it was to Fulton County, and they just happened to be 100% for Trump, for Biden, even though Trump won the military by a lot, a tremendous amount. But these ballots were 100% for Biden. And you know about that? A very substantial number came in, all for Biden. Does anybody know about it?
Is anybody, hello? Is anybody on the phone? Is anybody there? Yeah, let me guess. His attorney knows.
Okay, Cleta, wait. I'm not asking you, Cleta, honestly. I'm asking Brad. Do you know about the military ballots that we have confirmed now? Do you know about the military ballots that came in that were 100%? 100% for Biden. Do you know about that?
And I don't know about that. I do know that we have, when military ballots come in, it's not just military. It's also military and overseas citizens. The military part of that does generally go Republican. The overseas citizen part of it generally goes very Democrat.
No, but this was
a mix of them.
Yeah, that's okay. But I got like 78% in the military. These ballots were all for this. They didn't tell me overseas. Could be overseas too, but I get votes overseas too, Ryan. In all fairness. No, they came in, a large batch came in, and it was, quote, 100% for Biden. And that is criminal. That's criminal. Okay, that's another criminal. That's another of the many criminal events.
It didn't actually happen, though.
Many criminal events here. I don't know. Look, Brad, I have to find 12,000 votes, and I have them times a lot, and therefore I won the state. That's before we go to the next step, which is in the
Holy God
process of right now. And I watched you this morning, and you said, well, there was no criminality, but all of this stuff is very dangerous stuff. When you talk about no criminality, I think it's very dangerous for you to say that. I just don't know why you don't want to have the votes counted as they are. Like even you, when you went and did that check, and I was surprised because, I didn't consider the check, and we found a few thousand votes that were against me. I was actually surprised because the way that check was done, all you're doing is recertifying existing votes. And, you were given votes and you just counted them up. And you still found 3,000 that were bad. That was sort of surprising. That came down to 3 or 5. I don't know, a lot, still a lot of votes. But you have to go back to check from past years with respect to signatures. And if you check with Fulton County, you'll have hundreds of thousands because they dumped ballots into Fulton County and the other county next to it. So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break. We have that in spades already.
Listen to this jackass. Fellas, come on, just go. You can go find them for me. Go find me 12,000 votes.
Ready. Or we can keep it going, but that's not have that in spades.
Listen to this. This is just pitiful.
Dumped ballots into Fulton County and the other county next to it. So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes, fellas. I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
Yeah, just throw me 11,000 votes. That's what I need.
You know, we have that in spades already, or we can keep it going. But that's not fair to the voters of Georgia because they're going to see what happened. And they're going to see.
Yeah, they're going to see that the president of the United States can override a sovereign state's vote, which has been given to them by the power of the Constitution. Jesus.
See what happened. I mean, I'll take on anybody you want with regard to and her lovely daughter. A very lovely young lady, I'm sure. But I will take on anybody you want. And the minimum, there were 18,000 ballots, but they used them 3 times. So that's, a lot of votes.
He already told you that didn't happen. Like, we've dealt with that, and then he moved on. Now he comes back to it like it really happened.
And they were all to Biden, by the way. That's the other thing we didn't say.
You said that, and it's still not true.
One thing I forgot to say, which was the most important. Do you know that every single ballot she did went to Biden? You know that, right?
No.
Do you know that, by the way, Brett? Every single ballot that she did through the machine at early in the morning went to Biden. Did you know that, Ryan?
That's not accurate.
That's not accurate. That is not true.
Went to Biden. Did you know that, Ryan?
That's not accurate, Mr. President.
Huh. What is accurate?
The numbers that we are showing are accurate.
About early in the morning, Ryan, when the woman took when the whole gang took the stuff from under the table, right? Do you know do you know who those ballots? Do you know who they were made out to? Do you know who they were voting for?
No, not specifically.
Did you ever check?
We did what I described to you earlier.
No. Did you ever check the ballots that were scammed by a known political operative balloteer? Did you ever check who those votes were?
A balloteer. That's a new word.
For?
We've looked into that situation that you described.
No, they were 100% for Biden. 100%. There wasn't a Trump vote in the whole group. Why?
That's not even remotely close to true.
100%. There wasn't a Trump vote in the whole group. Why don't you want to find this, Ryan? What's wrong with you? I heard your lawyer is very difficult, actually, but I'm sure you're a good lawyer. You have a nice last name. But I'm just curious.
Germany. You have a nice last name.
Why do you keep fighting this thing? It just doesn't make sense. We're way over the 17,779, right? We're way over that number. And if you took we're over that number by five or 6 times when you multiply it out times 3. And every single ballot went to Biden. And you didn't know that.
Well, the problem that Ryan and Raffensperger have right now is that they don't actually know what the shit he's talking about because there isn't anything in that time period. So, like, all these votes went to Biden idea is just simply not true. They were tabulating votes that had been counted earlier. Those went a majority to Biden because most people who were voting for Biden voted by mail. But they weren't all for Biden. But he's saying that, like, the stuff that was calculated when they ran people out of the room during a water main break that wasn't a water main break, all that stuff, they all went for Biden. That's a time period that doesn't actually exist in reality.
But now you know it. So tell me, Brad, what are we going to do? We won the election, and it's not fair to take it away from us like this. And it's going to be very costly in many ways.
That's a threat, by the way. It's going to be very costly in many ways. That's a threat.
And I think you have to say that you're going to re-examine it, and you can re-examine it, but re-examine it with people that want to find answers, not people that don't want to find answers. For instance, I'm hearing Ryan, and he's probably, I'm sure, a great lawyer and everything, but he's making statements about those ballots that he doesn't know. But he's making them with such, he did make them with surety, but now I think he's less sure, because the answer is they all went to Biden. And
they didn't. He's asking them, that guy's a lawyer. So he's asking a lawyer about a time period he's not aware of, because that time period doesn't exist. There is no version of nighttime where the woman he's accusing of messing with votes ran people out of the room with a water main break that happened the next morning. And that votes were counted because no votes were counted in a time period that doesn't exist during a period in which he thinks that the tabulation of votes and the other morning stuff are the same time. So as a lawyer, you're like, you'd have to be sitting there going, we can't make any statement about what you're saying because we don't actually know what time. Give us an hour and a minute, and we'll tell you what happened.
That alone wins us the election by a lot. So.
Mr. President, you have people that submit information, and we have our people that submit information, and then it comes before the court, and the court then has to make a determination. We have to stand by our numbers. We believe our numbers are right.
Well, why do you say that, though? I don't know. I mean, sure, we can play this game with the courts, but why do you say that? First of all, they don't even assign us a judge. But why wouldn't you?
Why can't you assign me one of the judges I installed in Georgia so that I can get what I paid for?
Hey, Brad, why wouldn't you want to check out? And why wouldn't you want to say, hey, if in fact President Trump is right about that, then
he isn't, and they did.
He wins the state of Georgia. Just that one incident alone, without going through hundreds of thousands of.
Why can't you just come out and do a press conference, just like I asked the president of Ukraine to come out and, even if you don't find anything, say you're investigating Biden, and if something comes of it, it would be very terrible. We'll give you a written statement. You follow that, and then bad things won't happen to you. Same thing with Georgia. Why can't you just go out and say, if any of the exorbitant numbers of flagrant lies that Trump is telling are even remotely true, the election goes to him in Georgia? Why won't you just go out and say that, even though you have evidence to the contrary?
Drop ballots. You just say you stick by. I mean, I've been watching you you don't care about anything. Your numbers are right, but your numbers aren't right. They're really wrong. And they're really wrong, Brad. And I know this phone call's going nowhere other than ultimately,
in the shitter.
Look, ultimately, I win, okay? Because
Mr. Secretary,
you guys are so wrong, and you've treated the population of Georgia so badly. Between you and your governor, who was down at 21.
You're treating Georgia very badly. That's why people, once they move out of Georgia, would never move back.
He was down 21 points, and like a schmuck, I endorsed him, and he got elected. But I will tell you, he's a disaster, and he'll never. I can't imagine. The people are so angry in Georgia. I can't imagine he's ever getting elected.
Hi, is somebody coming down here to say hi? Is it? Frank?
Sorry to interrupt. You got a really cool email from your radio show.
Okay.
When you mentioned the case that David's working on. Apparently, one of your listeners, that was her aunt.
Oh my God. Criminy. Yeah. All right. Well, I will add that to the tally when we talk about that next time. Holy smokes. Yeah. Okay. We're being Frank's in here. Frank. Hi, Frank. Look at that. Frank getting pets. Frank still hates my guts. Hi, Frank. Hey, buddy. Look at that. I'm amazed. All he does is attack me. Our other feral cat, Frank, is a mess. Hi, Frank. Yeah, I'll reach out and he'll go, "Ha-pow!" And then I'll just bleed. All right, let me finish up.
It again, I'll tell you that much right now.
Frank's a wreck. Bless his heart. He's coming around, but he's a dick.
But why wouldn't you want to find the right answer, Brad, instead of keep saying that the numbers are right? Because
He does have the right numbers. Why do you keep telling him to lie to his constituency?
those numbers are so wrong. And
Because I lost. I know I lost. Rumor has it they're shredding things. Didn't you hear this? I mean, what more do I need? Look, just throw me 11,000 votes and we'll call it a day so I can move on to try and tell Arizona the same bullshit.
Mr. Secretary, Mr. President, I mean, one of the things that we have been, Alex can talk about this, we've talked about it, and I don't know whether the information has been conveyed to your office, but I think what the President's saying and what we've been trying to do is to say, look, the court is not acting on our petition. They haven't even assigned a judge. But the people of Georgia and the people of America have a right to know the answers. And
They do. You've had multiple recounts. They've had signature verifications. You guys aren't paying for recounts, and every time you have paid for a recount, it ends up with more Biden votes.
you have data and records that we don't have access to. And you keep telling us and making public statements that you've investigated this and, nothing to see here. But we don't know about that. All we know is what you tell us. What I don't understand is why it wouldn't be in everyone's best interest
to keep pretending there's questions. Because that's what this is really about. They've answered your questions. They've done multiple recounts. They've done signature verifications in one of the biggest populated counties in the entire state. They know what the voting rolls look like. They had an election. The only thing that comes from this is as long as Trump and his clan continue to question the results, then the results themselves can be said to be questionable. And that's the whole goal of these people. That's the ball game.
to try to get to the bottom, compare the numbers. If you say, but to try to be able to get to the truth, and that because we don't have any way of confirming what you're telling us.
Yes, you do. Look at the certified election results that they showed you, because they did due diligence. That's your verification. You have taken an oath. She and Rudy and all these people have taken an oath to Donald Trump. They do not have an oath to the citizens of the United States. No matter how much they protest about, oh God, the Georgia voters, oh God, the American people, they're not taking. They didn't take an oath to protect and uphold the Constitution themselves. They are working for their client to get the result he wants. This is a civil litigation. These are lawyers that are being paid by the hour versus people who've been elected to state, offices, taken an oath when they've done it. Whether you believe they're living up to that is Georgia's business largely over anything else. But they are of the same party as the president.
Investigation of the State Farm Arena. I don't have any report. I've never seen a report of investigation.
Yeah, I have. It seems like the more votes or views I get on Facebook, the fewer stars I'm allowed to get or something. What happened? I got to do that. We got to fix this somehow. We'll see. It won't let me monetize the page right now, so I think I'm in timeout for some reason. We'll figure it out. It's not a huge deal. If you guys want to help, you can always hit the Venmo if you can't do stars right now, or just hang out. We'll fix it. Don't worry about it.
I don't know what that is. I've been pretty involved in this, and I don't know. And
Yeah, why would you?
that's just one of 25 categories, and it doesn't even. And as the president said, we haven't even gotten into the Dominion issue. That's not part of our case. It's not part of.
Because you can't prove it, and you'll get in trouble because you will have to deal with basically discovery. And once you get into the discovery phase of it, and they have to compare the standards you're holding Dominion to all the other voting machines, then Greg Abbott gets in deep shit, and so does Mitch McConnell.
We just
That's why they're not going after Dominion. One is they'll lose. Two is the judge will say on the defense part, well, then we need a standardized, if we're going to say a percentage of, signature matches that are done digitally don't match up this many times, we need something to baseline it with. So we're going to need a review of all the other voting machines in the country, including the ones that were used in Ohio, Kentucky, and Florida, and Texas. Now do you start to understand why Trump's lawyers aren't doing anything about voter fraud on Dominion in court? They're only bringing it up outside of court in areas where it doesn't have any meaning whatsoever, except for putting some sort of illusion of corruption.
I didn't feel as though we had any way to be able to develop.
No, we do have a way, but I don't want to get
Please keep yelling over your attorney, sir.
into it because
Exactly.
we found
Thank you, Heather.
another states later, excuse me, but we don't need it because we're only down 11,000 votes, so we don't even need it.
Right.
I personally think they're corrupt as hell, but we don't need that because all we have to do, Clayton, is find 11,000 plus votes.
Yeah.
So we don't need that. I'm not looking to shake up the whole world. We won Georgia easily. We won it by hundreds of thousands of votes, but if you go by basic, simple numbers, we won it easily. So we're not giving Dominion a pass on the record. I will say that.
Right, exactly.
But we just don't, we don't need Dominion because we have so many other votes that we don't need to prove it any more than we already have.
Yeah, we can't dare look at those. Yeah.
Mr. President, Cleta, this is Kurt Hilbert, if I might interject here for a moment. Ryan, I would like to suggest that.
So, Mr. President, everybody is on the...
Oh, crap. Hold on. Jumped ahead.
That's what we would entreat and ask you to do, to sit down with us in a compromise and settlement, proceeding, and actually go through the registered voter IDs and the registrations. And if you can convince us that 24,149 is inaccurate, then fine. But we tend to believe that is, obviously more than 11,779. That's sufficient to change the result entirely in and of itself. So what would you say to that, Mr. Germany?
Kurt, I'm happy to, I'll get with our lawyers and we'll set that up. That number is not accurate, and I think we can show you, for all the ones we've looked at, why it's not. And so if that would be helpful, I'm happy to get with our lawyers and set that up with you guys.
Well, let me ask you, Kurt. Kurt, you think that is an accurate number? That was based on the information given to you by the Secretary of State's Department, right?
That is correct. That information is the minimum, most conservative data based upon the USPS data and the Secretary of State's office data that has been made publicly available. We do not have the internal numbers from the Secretary of State, yet we have asked for it 6 times. I've sent a letter over to Mr. Anulowitz several times requesting this information, and it's been rebuffed every single time. So it stands to reason that if the information is not forthcoming, there's something to hide. That's the problem that we have.
Well, that's not the case. There are things that you guys are entitled to get, and there's things that under law we are not allowed to give out.
Well, you have to. Well, under law, you're not allowed to give faulty election results, okay? You're not allowed to do that, and that's what you've done. This is a faulty election result.
Yeah, so you should give us copies of the home addresses of all the Democratic voters in Georgia so that we can target in the next 2 elections who to stop from voting. Who we can... If we can just limit the number of voting machines in those areas, we'll start there. If we need to send people out with ice picks to flatten some tires, we can do that late in the game, but we'll just make our decision about how we want to handle it going forward. So you should violate state law, give us all the information, even though we have shown no standard that we will do due diligence to protect the information that you have given us, and have been untrustworthy with details like that before. But yeah,
and honestly, this should go very fast. You should meet tomorrow because you have a big election coming up, and because of what you've done to the president, the people of Georgia know that this was a scam, and because of what you've done to the president, a lot of people aren't going out to vote, and a lot of Republicans are going to vote negative because they hate what you did to the president. Okay, they hate it, and they're going to vote.
Oh,
and if you
they're so upset.
respected, if this thing could be straightened out before the election. You have a big election coming up on Tuesday. And therefore, I think that it really is important that you meet tomorrow and work out on these numbers. Because
guess what? They're not going to. They've already been through all this.
I know, Brad, that if you think we're right, I think you're going to say, and I'm not looking to blame anybody. I'm just saying that.
I'm not looking to blame anybody. I'm going to call the Secretary of State of Georgia a child and say that Brian Kemp is completely on the take and dangerous and stupid, and I'm really Stacey Abrams is like got hypnosis powers or something. I really blame her, but I'm not blaming anybody except you.
Under new counts.
Here's what an adult does: take responsibility for losing the election. Should you really be the president of the United States if 8 local vote volunteers can destroy your election? I mean, honestly, if you're not prepped for that, why should we think that you're ready for Iran or Russia or North Korea or China or anybody else?
And under new views of the election results, we won the election. It's all, it's very simple. We won the election.
Yeah, just keep saying it. It doesn't sound dumber every time you say it.
As the governor of major states and the surrounding states said, there is no way you lost Georgia.
Major states. Major states. Georgia's not a major state?
The Georgia politicians say, there is no way you lost Georgia. Nobody, everyone knows I won it by hundreds of thousands of votes.
Yeah, it's not that you are the kind of person who surround yourself with sycophants and yes men, and that you've literally purged anybody from your circle that gives you reality or what you would consider bad news. So of course everyone that's left that bothers to talk to you is going, yeah, boss, oh, you totally won. Yes, yeah, you won. You tore it down. You're the greatest politician that's ever lived. Jesus Christ, get his wallet. Well, I think it's working.
But I'll tell you, it's going to have a big impact on Tuesday if you guys don't get this thing straightened out fast.
What are you going to do? Go on television, tell everybody not to vote for the Republicans? Please do. By the way, if you're in Georgia and you're registered to vote as a Democrat or Republican, Independent, Green Party, whatever, vote. It's an election. It matters. Vote. No matter what this president says, vote. Even if it means you vote for somebody else that I don't like, doesn't matter. I believe in democracy first and foremost. Vote.
Well, Mr. President, this is Mark. Let me just, it sounds like we've got two different sides agreeing that we can look at those areas, and I assume that we can do that within the next 24 to 48 hours to go ahead and get that reconciled so that we can look at the two claims and making sure that we get the access to the Secretary of State's data.
Absolutely.
To either validate or invalidate the claims that have been made. Is that correct?
Validate. They're going to validate them again for the 5th time.
So that's not what I said. I'm happy to sit down with, or have our lawyers sit down with Kurt and the lawyers on that side and explain to him, hey, here's, based on what we've looked at so far, here's how we know this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And
so what you're saying, Ryan? Hold on, let me make sure. So what you're
Yeah, please be the Trump whisperer, Mark Meadows.
Saying is you really don't want to give access to the data. You just want to make
They can't legally, shithead.
Another case on why the lawsuit is wrong.
I don't think we can give access to data that's protected by law. But we can sit down with them and say,
but
hey,
you're allowed to have a phony election?
That's not. I mean, honestly, is Roseanne around to tell him how to handle this well?
So what you're saying is you really don't want to give access to the data. You just want to make another case on why the lawsuit is wrong.
I don't think we can give access to data that's protected by law. But we can sit down with them and say,
but
hey,
you're allowed to have a phony election? You're allowed to have a phony election, right?
Yeah, totally. That's basically it. You caught us. You're allowed to have a phony election. That's right. Yep. Now, just like 2016, clearly when Brian Kemp won and you won and stuff. I mean, nothing's changed since then. So clearly,
No, sir.
When are you going to do the signature counts on? When are you going to do signature verification on Fulton County, which you said you were going to do, and now all of a sudden you're not doing it? When are you doing that?
We are
Mr.
going to do
President,
that. We've announced.
to get to this issue of the personal information and privacy issue, is it possible that the Secretary of State could deputize the lawyers for the president so that we could access that information, that private information?
yeah, that's a great idea, dude. Here's what we want. We want the Georgia Secretary of State to deputize the president's lawyers so that they can just look at the private information of every voter in Georgia, even though they have no legal right to. And then, of course, retain all the rights and privileges of being a deputy of the Secretary of State going forward. So if they want to, seize voting machines before and after during the election, or if they want to flood votes for Perdue and Loeffler during the election as duly designated deputies of the Secretary of State, they can do whatever they want during the Tuesday election. This is a brilliant idea.
Without you having any kind of violation.
800 people just in there alone, just on YouTube? That's amazing. Thanks, guys. This was a surprise show. I'm glad you guys joined me today. I was not expecting to do one. I've got a show tonight at 7 o'clock doing stand-up, and yet this thing happens right in the middle of it. We're almost done, though. Go to flapperscomedy.com if you want to see the show. I don't make any money off the show for Flappers. That money all goes for ticket prices, which I think is just $10, goes to help Flappers out during this time when they can't be open.
Well, I don't want to know who it is. You guys can do it very confidentially. You can sign a confidentiality agreement.
Yeah, that works. Those always work.
Okay. I don't need to know names.
I'm sure they won't share them with you. You've signed a confidentiality agreement.
All right, let me.
It's kind of like a porn star abortion. Just use the same one. You've got a couple of them printed up.
But we got the information on this stuff that we're talking about. We got all that information from the Secretary of State.
You got it.
Yeah, so let me recommend Ryan, if you and Kurt will get together, when we get off of this.
Yeah, I suggest those guys get together. I'm thinking Friday, the first Friday of February. How about that? Is that good for everybody?
Phone call. If you could get together and work out a plan to address.
To alleviate the president's bizarre conspiracy theories. If you can, our attorney will come down there. His name is Alex Jones. You might
some of what we've got with your attorneys, where we can actually look at the data. For example, Mr. Secretary, I can tell you. You said there was only 2 dead people that would vote. I can promise you there are more than that, and that may be what your investigation shows. But I can promise you there are more than that. But at the same time, I think it's.
Yeah, but they voted for Trump. You're not going to overturn the election with the dead people that voted. Not in Georgia. It's not going to happen. The only dead voters in Georgia are Trump voters who voted from beyond the grave because Jesus gave them the power.
It's important that we go ahead and move expeditiously to try to do this and resolve it.
Yeah, totally. Get on it, guys. Right on it. Anytime in the next 165 hours.
As quickly as we possibly can. And if that's the good next step, hopefully we can.
Yeah, it's a good next step. You know what? We've got a lot of work to do. Obviously, we have an election coming up on Tuesday, but we're going to get right back to you. Let's say the 20. Yeah, let's see. Is it a leap year or?
We can finish this phone call and go ahead and agree that the 2 of you will get together immediately.
Well, why don't my lawyers show you where you got the information? It'll show the Secretary of State, and you don't even have to look at any names. We don't want.
Yeah, you don't have to look at stuff. Look at our evidence. Assume it's right. Don't compare it to the real information you have, and then pretend it's real like I do. Ta-da!
Names, we don't care. But we got that information from you. And Stacey Abrams is laughing about, she's going around saying these guys are dumber than a rock.
Really? Is that what they're saying? Is that what she's saying? Is that what's happened?
What she's done to this party is unbelievable, I tell you. And I only ran against her once, and that was with a guy named Brian Kemp, and I beat her. And if I didn't run, Brian wouldn't have had even a shot, either in the general or in the primary. He was dead as a doornail. He never thought he had a shot at either one of them. What a schmuck I was. But that's the way.
Yes, you have been, and in an ongoing fashion are a schmuck, indeed.
It is. That's the way.
A teeny, shriveled Vienna sausage-like schmuck, but still.
The way it is. I would like you to, for the attorneys on my side, I'd like you to perhaps meet with Ryan, ideally tomorrow, because.
Yeah, ideally sometime tomorrow, so I'll release a bunch of tweets saying that they're investigating something, big news coming, so I could continue to fleece my supporters with money. How's that sound, guys?
Because I think we should come to a resolution of this before the election. Otherwise, you're gonna have people just not voting. They don't want to vote.
Why? Republicans, honestly. So this is how you're going to get revenge on Stacey Abrams and the allegations of voter fraud in Georgia that your president has in this kind of fever dream idea of a future in politics that he has in his head. And your way of getting back at that is to not vote for the people you would normally vote for because harumph. And that's how you're going to tell us that your party and people like you should choose leaders, and because this is how you're showing leadership by not showing up to vote. What must he think of his own voters?
They hate the state. They hate the governor, and they hate the Secretary of State. I will tell you that right now. And the only people that like you are people that will never vote for you. You know that, Brad, right? They like you, They like you. They can't believe what they found. They want more people like you. So look, can you get to...
Good. By the way, excellent way to seal the deal. They've agreed to have a sit down with your people, but, never pass up an opportunity to insult them on their way out the door that you're basically over.
Together tomorrow. And
what part of art of the deal is this?
Brad, we just want the truth. It's simple. And
you can't handle the truth.
And everyone's going to look very good if the truth comes out. It's okay. It takes a little while, but let the truth come out. And the real truth is I won by 400,000 votes, at least. That's the real truth. But we don't need 400,000 votes. We need less than 2,000 votes.
We need like half a two, and, maybe one.
Are you guys able to meet tomorrow, Ryan?
I'll get with Chris, the lawyer who's representing us in the case, and see when he can get together with Kurt.
All right.
Ryan will be in touch with the other attorney on this call, Mr. Meadows. Thank you, President Trump, for your time.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Great job, you losers who suck and are so stupid that Stacey Abrams has stepped all over your neck and everyone in your state hates you and your state's so awful that if anybody ever moves out, they would never move back. Thanks, guys. Good call. Good talk. Good talk, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Jesus. That's it. That's the kids. Congratulations. I want to congratulate you personally. You're among the few, the proud, the many who've been through this whole goddamn tape already today. A bunch of people listened to little clips of it, but you went through the whole thing. And yes, and now all of you can say that. Now all of you can recognize that this is, genuine garbage. You're not talking out of school. You can't, nobody can go, you just saw a little piece of it. You don't know what you're talking about. No, we know. We know what we're talking about. We can see. Look at this. Yeah. That's it. That's all of it. Criminy. I am very proud of you guys for making it through. I might have an aneurysm just from watching this stupid thing. I appreciate it, Audio Girl. Jen, that's what I'm trying to do. That's what we try to do here. We give you an opportunity to get through this stuff without losing your sanity. By the way, this was a flailing garbage attempt at manipulating the Georgia Secretary of State and the governor to throw the election. It was absolutely a crime. There were multiple crimes in this. He'll have room where he could talk about it. Like I was saying, because of my belief that we had won it. That's why he kept saying we already won it big. We did win big. He keeps saying it that way because he can ask for all these favors. And if he's ever called into court, he can pretend that, no. I wasn't asking them to give me anything that I didn't already earn. I was saying all I need is, them to look at a few votes. They don't have to go into all of them. That's the trick. That's what you're hearing. But he also, at the same time, don't have any illusions, he knows he lost Georgia. Trump knows he lost Georgia. He hates it. He's upset about it. His lawyers know it. But they think they can mess around with the vote and get away with it. But he absolutely lost. So, good times. It's a party. I want to thank you guys for joining me. I will see some of you at the Flapper show at 7 o'clock. And apparently, Summer told me that during the radio show yesterday, we got a piece of email in response to part of the segment that I was talking about, which is pretty amazing. Wow. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, I'm going to wait to read this on the air next week because we got a great response from something. I had Frank Figluzzi on the show, and I mentioned some stuff, and it's, that's amazing. So, anyways, much love to you guys. I will see some of you in about an hour and change, a little over an hour and a half from now, for the Flapper show. It was about my cousin's case where he's looking for Lester Eubanks. And for those of you that don't know, let's see if I can find his wanted poster. Let's see. This guy, Lester Eubanks. My cousin is currently one of the marshals who's looking for this dude. And he's the guy who went Christmas shopping and escaped prison after he'd murdered a 15-year-old girl. Sexually assaulted her, shot her. She wasn't dead when he left her. He came back about a half hour later because he didn't think she was dead and caved her head in with a brick. And then after his murder conviction, which he was found guilty of and never really fought, he got the death penalty. That was commuted to life in prison after the death penalty was thrown out in Ohio, and he was allowed to go Christmas shopping one year, and then, no, they have not found him. He was allowed to go Christmas shopping, and he escaped. I don't know why you let someone who raped a 15-year-old girl go Christmas shopping, unsupervised in a mall for 2 hours, and come back on the honor system, which clearly they didn't do anymore. But he did that, and he's been on the run ever since, and they're trying to find him. And one of his victims' relatives contacted me after. It's nuts. Yeah, it's you live in Cincinnati, you've heard of this. Yeah, it's terrible. Like 15 years old, shot, left for dead, came back, bashed her head in with a brick to make sure she was dead. Just awful. Just an awful, awful human being. And there is no way he hasn't sexually assaulted somebody on his way out, because people who are comfortable doing something that awful, there's just no way. Anyways, he's been on the run for 30 some odd years, 27 some odd years. And so they keep trying to find him, and at this point, this is who they're looking for him. So I brought it up again because we try to find this dude, and it's just, it's one of these things that is just related to my family because of what my cousin does for a living, and they're trying to find it. find out anything they can about this case and find him, and they've got a couple of pieces of information about him, and they continue to try, but the victim's family has gotten no justice in all this time. He has friends and relatives in the Chicagoland area and in California and Orange County. He has family in Southern California. They think he may have been in Mexico for a short time. There's a lot of stuff to it, but they're trying to find him. So his name is Lester Eubanks. He doesn't go by that anymore. Obviously, he's been on the run for a very long time. 1973, Eubanks walked away from the custody of the Ohio Department of Corrections while on a temporary honor furlough to go Christmas shopping. Yeah, just awful. And it turns out that his victim, who was 14 years old at the time, not 15, my mistake, one of her relatives just contacted me about bringing this up on the air, because I just kind of every so often I try to remind people about it, see if anything comes up, and so she reached out about it. So I might be able to have her on the radio show coming up, which would be really wonderful, and hopefully do something about it. Because her entire family was devastated. This 14-year-old black girl with her little sister going to the laundromat, and she goes home to get some change for the dryer and never comes back, and that's what happened to her. It's just awful. It's just an awful, awful situation that and he should have never been out. But that's the thing of it, and he was allowed to go Christmas shopping. Because that's what you do with people who've bashed a 14-year-old girl's head in. You let them go Christmas shopping. And anyways, I just got a letter apparently from one of her relatives because we brought it up. That's kind of amazing. So anything we could do to help find this guy so they could have some peace, because he's out there. He's out and around. It's one thing, always hear these stories about when somebody's body isn't found and the family is always left with this idea of what happened to their relative. They never get to bury them. Those kind of things is it's always rough. But when the killer themselves is still out and about, and let's see, 1943. So he's 72, I think. 71, yeah. So, anyways, that's just rough. To know that you can't find your dead relative is rough, and you hear about those stories all the time. It's heartbreaking. But to know that the person who did this is still out there and could very well, because they're moving freely about, come by and torment you and just stare at you from across the street and then leave again without any pushback is just awful. Thank you. 77. Yeah. I can't read on the paper that, it's very small on the sheet that I have. So there you go. So that's one of those things. So yeah, I don't know about the honor system for convicted murderers to go Christmas shopping. I don't even know who those gifts were for. But there's a lot of that around. So yes, he absolutely could be dead. That happens. I asked about DNA. I talked to my cousin recently about this, and this is why, by the way, one of the cause celebs of my life and one of the things we continue to bring up, and it would be nice if I had a goal for this year, it would be to help make a dent in all the rape kits that have not been tested. The untested rape kits in America, the backlog of them, is one of the biggest miscarriages of justice that exists, especially now that we have a DNA database, especially of sexual violence, that it would, if you went through the process of checking those, you could solve a lot of these things, fairly quickly, because a lot of these people may already be in jail for other things. They may have not had this, one or more of their crimes counted against them, those kind of things. And it's simply because there's a backlog of rape kits that aren't being tested. And there are very few things where if you just passed a bill on that, the change that came of it would be extraordinary. You know what I mean? Like that, you could make changes about, we've all seen Schoolhouse Rock. you could make little changes that over time you hope will result in fewer car accidents or fewer blown tires, or make regulation changes that saves lives and those kind of things. But few things could be as measurably obvious as passing a law for funding to deal with the backlogs of untested rape kits. That in and of itself would be a game changer for so many women and men and children and people who've been carrying around, their assaults for their whole lives without any justice being, given to them. And it would also lock up people who have a history of it. And in the case of someone like Lester Eubanks, where he very well may have continued to offend, might give them not only other charges to bring him in on once they do find him, although he's going to do life no matter when he gets picked up if they find him. But it also, by the trail of his actions, if they find out he assaulted someone in San Diego and then assaulted someone in Northern California and then Oregon or something like that, they could follow a chain of his victims and maybe move closer to finding more about him or what, do a little bit more investigation around the times of those things and find somebody like that. So yeah, that I just think that would be valuable on that front as well. So anyways, there you go. That's one of my That's been there for a long time. He has a let's see, it's a half-inch scar on his face, side of his face, a mole on his upper left eye, and in the side of his mouth, he's got a scar on his wrist. Yeah, like a 1-inch scar on his wrist. They don't say right or left wrist. Right wrist. 1 scar on his right wrist. These are his other markings in case. But it's that in and of itself, those are the things that I think could really make a huge difference, right? So there you go. Trump is awarding Devin Nunes President Medal of Freedom tomorrow and Jim Jordan next week. That's not surprising. He's handing them out like party favors. They won't mean anything. They'll be in the list of people who've gotten them, but they'll all have been asterisks next to them. So there you go. That's one of the things that those kind of folks got to go. So I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful night. Thanks for joining me on this complete top to bottom. There you go. That's his aged self. His name is Lester Eubanks. They have another version of where he has glasses on. He's 77 years old now. They've aged him to see if any indication that I found that ear shape is one of the best ways to spot somebody and recognize them in that regard. But yeah, that's him, Lester Eubanks. So if anybody knows anything and you're ever watching this, if 2 years from now somebody's watching this and hey, I wonder what that Sparks guy used to do, and this video comes across, you're like, I think I know that guy. Contact the U.S. Marshals and the FBI and please help. And the other thing is if we haven't made any moves on helping clear those kits, then get to work on it. There you go. Thanks so much. I will see you guys later on. Be well, take care of yourself, and take care of somebody else. And I'll see some of you in about an hour and change, hour and a half exactly, for the Flappers show, flapperscomedy.com. Okay, bye.